Okay, let's take a trip back to this month in history with our friends at the Filson Historical Society. This morning we're going to look back at one of Louisville's high-profile murder cases. The story of the murder of Jennie Bowman back in the 1880s is complex. This morning Rose is breaking it down to show us just how complex this was and why, Rose, it was so unusual for its time.
Right. Jennie Bowman was a 24-year-old white woman working as a domestic in a home in Old Louisville, and she was allegedly attacked and killed by two black men. But the unique part of this story is how the case was investigated in Jim Crow era Kentucky.
Well, the Jennie Bowman tragedy is one of the most compelling events in Louisville history.
On April 21st, 1887, Bowman was working in a home on Brook Street when someone broke into the house.
She was confronted a burglar. She put up resistance and was brutally beaten with a fireplace poker.
She sustained severe head trauma and was taken to the hospital. She told doctors, police, and family that two black men attacked her.
She also indicated that she had taken a glass off the table, dining room table, and struck one of her attackers with it and caused some wounds on his face.
Bowman died from her injuries May 9th. One man, Albert Turner, was arrested. He had injuries consistent with the wounds Bowman described and had some of her stolen items. Turner implicated another man, William Patterson. Both were former slaves and both had served time in prison previously, but Patterson maintained his innocence. While the two were in jail, a lynch mob of 10,000 people tried to storm the jail, but local and state officials prevented them from getting in. Turner was convicted and hanged July 1st, 1887. Patterson, however, had a different fate.
He was convicted after his trial, but it went to the Court of Appeals. But it was overturned at the Court of Appeals.
For a former slave in the 1880s, Patterson's case was taken seriously, and even Governor Simon Buckner had an interest in making sure this case was handled fairly.
As a matter of fact, Governor Buckner visited the crime scene and investigated it in person, which was really remarkable and unusual for that time.
Ultimately, Patterson died on the gallows on June 14, 1888. Whether justice was or wasn't served, the process showed promise for its time.
But it's also really an interesting, compelling, and complex glimpse of racial justice in Jim Crow era Louisville.
While Patterson did have an alibi, there was no standard way of timekeeping at this time in history, so the times that he mentioned couldn't be proven. Turner also said he made up Patterson's involvement right before he was hanged, so we will never really know what happened.